Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that the future of the Star Wars franchise seems to be quite expansive, not just with their books, novels, comics, and video games, but also let's not forget about their new Star Wars TV shows, both in animated and live-action form, as well as their new Star Wars trilogy and spin-off films to actually come and arrive by Disney and Lucasfilm, as well as Bob Iger and Bob Chapek. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Disney Star Wars is that yes, we do know that they are currently heading in a more positive direction for the franchise. Essentially, we do have George Lucas, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, among other creators coming on board over at Lucasfilm to really handle the franchise in a more respectful way in order to really get the ball rolling again, and that's exactly what Bob Chapek wants to do. He wants to make Star Wars just as successful as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's, by the way, going to take a lot of time and effort to really get it to such a level at that. Now, beyond all of this, everything related to Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy, one thing about her is that, yes, we do know that as of right now, she has little to no creative power. Essentially, she's only working on the Leslie Headland Star Wars TV series, and that's it, strictly. She's not working on anything else. It's just that one project. And we have George, John, and Dave really taking creative control over the roadmap of Star Wars, essentially how everything is going to be mapped out from this point on forward, so looking forward to that as well. However, what's really intriguing all has to do with Kathleen Kennedy as the president of Lucasfilm and the entire Star Wars fandom as we know it, and how it all really interconnects. Now, what's really exciting about the future is that things are really getting more bright, getting more, I guess you could say, hopeful, if you will. However, now that the Skywalker saga is over, both Disney and Lucasfilm have been developing their new Star Wars universe, as well as the new Star Wars trilogy of movies. It's explained, however, that both Bob Iger and Bob Chapek are actively developing their new Star Wars movies and TV shows to deliver a brand new mythology to Star Wars fans around the world. However, during and after the premiere of The Rise of Skywalker, many interviews were given to the creators and the actors of the sequel trilogy. At one point in time, Kathleen Kennedy was questioned about the backlash from the fans of The Last Jedi and director Rian Johnson's approach of Star Wars. At one moment in time, Kathleen Kennedy was able to state that in her mind, the fans are the ones who destroyed the true nature of Star Wars and the meaning of the franchise and what it stands for. Kennedy goes on to state that in her point of view, the fans never really knew what they wanted and with the sequel trilogy, which is why they refused to use any of the fan suggestions in the sequel trilogy movies. Further, it's explained that Kennedy went on to reveal that the fans did not accept Rian Johnson's approach to Star Wars, since they relied more so on what George Lucas had established with the old expanded universe. Now let me stop right here for a second, because this is something where Kathleen Kennedy is absolutely in the wrong, where she doesn't even know what she's talking about. Now, in my eyes, the fans had nothing to do with Star Wars really going on a major decline. It was all because of Kathleen Kennedy's leadership and her personal agendas that she was throwing into the stories, how she was forcing this specific narrative within the sequel trilogy. Again, a lot of fans had issues with that. They voiced their opinions because they're very passionate about the franchise, and that's acceptable. In my eyes, the fans did not do anything bad to the Star Wars franchise. That's just how I see things. I see things as this. The fans that really voice their opinions the most are the most passionate fans out there. Example, the fans that voice their opinions on social media, be it on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, whatever it may be, all over the internet, forums, whatever have you. They are the very passionate fans. So I think that Kathleen Kennedy is more in line with how she views the more opinionated Star Wars fans clashing with the more casual fans that aren't as opinionated. Now, moving on from all of this, alright? Now, Kennedy, alright, this is at no surprise really here, is that Kennedy unveils that Star Wars is about evolution and evolving the franchise, and that the fans did not want to accept that and refused to embrace it, which led Kathleen Kennedy to making her own choices for the movies. She goes on to tell the fans that it was the fans who voiced negative opinions that destroyed the magic of Star Wars, and that in her mind, they are just a minority on social media platforms that don't actually enjoy the franchise, but rather enjoy only parts of the universe. Kathleen Kennedy, besides that, behind the scenes as of right now, has little to no creative power over at Lucasfilm, and has a grudge against the fans and the higher-ups over at Disney for causing her power to be taken away from the new Star Wars universe. So again, it was the fans voicing their opinions, and the fans voicing their opinions really got to the minds of Bob Iger and Chapek to really make the ultimate decision to strip Kathleen Kennedy's power away, to really focus more so on what Star Wars really means, right? That's what they're doing with The Mandalorian Season 2, and that's what they're doing with Disney Plus and the new Star Wars TV shows, and the new Star Wars movies, you name it. So, everything related to Kathleen Kennedy, I think that we are stepping in the right direction here. I think that, the fact that she has little to no creative power is the first great step, and it's not just that, but it's also the fact that the fans have more power now than ever before. Essentially, our words matter all of a sudden because we have George, John, and Dave working on a lot of the choices of the roadmap of Star Wars. So that's one major thing to be thankful for. Keep that in mind, is that if it weren't for Bob Chapek and Iger working together to really reduce Kathleen Kennedy's creative power to practically nothing, I don't think that we would actually be standing here with a better future of Star Wars, with the Kenobi series, the Ahsoka Tano TV series that they are currently planning and is in the works, as well as The Mandalorian Season 2, 3, and so on and so forth. And that's just to name a few. So, beyond this, Kathleen Kennedy went on to reveal that with Episode 9, she did her absolute best to evolve the Star Wars franchise in unique ways of the fans that loved the sequel trilogy and wanted to detach from the burden of pleasing the original fans of the Star Wars universe. Again, this is yet again another big slip-up by Kathleen Kennedy. She wanted to essentially detach away from the original trilogy fans, the original Star Wars fans. So when you do that, I think that's when you already lose a lot of power already, because you're losing a good chunk of the Star Wars fan base. A lot of fans are original trilogy fans. They are the fans that really grew up with Star Wars back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever have you, before the prequels even came out. A lot of fans out there really enjoy Star Wars before the prequel trilogy era, and those are the type of fans that Kathleen Kennedy wanted to ignore. Even also the prequel fans, mind you. We didn't really see Kathleen Kennedy address too much of the prequel trilogy fans. Now, during the filming of Episode 9, this is where things begin to go downhill more so, I think, is that Kennedy purposely chose the title of the films as The Rise of Skywalker for Episode 9, where Kennedy reveals that was the perfect title to choose in order to evolve the name Skywalker and what it means. That the Skywalker name can be given to a nobody to carry on that legacy. Kathleen Kennedy also dives into Colin Trevorrow, revealing that there were initial discussions to involve some of his work to be picked up by J.J. Abrams, in which they have tried to do so as well, and that eventually she actually decided to erase all of Colin's work completely to create something original rather than relying on older work from fired director Colin Trevorrow. Kathleen Kennedy makes it clear that she also wanted to end the saga, where she reveals that it was time to steer clear from the family and move on to other characters. Once again, guys, like I say, I think that regardless, Kathleen Kennedy is always going to blame the fans. She's always going to not blame herself. She's not going to hold herself accountable, if you will, for what happened to Star Wars. We're not going to see a world or a reality in which she admits that fully. But one thing that we can actually see here is that Kathleen Kennedy just has this narrow vision of what the Star Wars fandom really actually embraces and enjoys. She essentially blames the original fans for destroying Star Wars, the more opinionated Star Wars fans. It wasn't us who decided to have Rian Johnson come on board and create such a controversial movie such as The Last Jedi. That's one big pointer right there. So, like I've said before in the past, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know think of all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.